What's good, family? How y'all doing today? Let's try this. There we go. Let's try that one more time. All right, what's good, family? How y'all living? Word, y'all having a good time today? This week, y'all feeling good? Y'all family now, right? That makes me cousin. I'm cousin from around the way, man. I'm really grateful to be sharing space with you this afternoon, as Lauren mentioned. Appreciate the intro, homie. My name is Dr. Donovan Livingston. I currently serve as a faculty member at University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill in the Department of Music, and currently serve as the director of College Thriving, where we designed a first-year experience course as a part of our general education curriculum that all UNC students take upon entry into the university. But I came to rock the mic today. Is that okay? Yeah. Can we do that? Can we get loose real quick? All right. So look, I need y'all to feed back to me when I'm speaking. I'm a poet. I'm a hip hop artist, and I grew up in the church. So anytime you hear something you like or vibe with or appreciate, can you send some love to the stage? Hey, let's go. Let's go. We can warm things up like this, yo. When I say hip, y'all say hop. Hip, hip. One more time. Let's try that again. Hip, hip. Look, now you're gonna have to face the wrath of my diaspora. Hop on the track. Each rhyme I'm master. I'm a slave to the rhythm that remind my stature. Had to harvest hard cotton and I chop tobacco. When I die, y'all better lock my casket, cause when I come back, I'ma haunt these rappers. No, not like Casper. Hold your laughter when you see my ghost, hope you see your past, bruh. Now, ashes, ashes, dust is dust. Remember, who gave you a pump from the back of the bus? Who gave you the blues when you were down in your luck? Yo, who gave you rock and roll and who took it from us? Now trust, it's just a dream that I don't think you repeating the freedom when it is eating. I'm sitting down and I greet them. You go to say glad to meet them. Why you be so misleading? Living in the world, oppression is undefeated. I mean, I got a reason for being so freaking heated. Women lose their right to choose, get break and we don't believe them. Brothers register to vote, hoping don't get deleted. Immigrants speak asylum, get given and get mistreated. Do you pray? I mean, to someone other than Jesus. If such is the case, they better go on their knees in private. Why is it like this? The world's in crisis. I write to write this. Yeah, it's my right to write this. Cause every life is righteous. Yo, I hope freedom is like this. Nah, I know freedom is like this. Now get your hands up, hands up. If you believe in freedom, don't stand up. Stand up, I say hands up, hands up. If you believe in freedom, don't stand up. Stand up, I say hands up, hands up. If you believe in freedom, don't stand up. Now look, when I say flood the streets, disturb the peace, I said flood the streets, disturb the peace. 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 And yes, y'all, and you don't stop. You have to see. So today I came to talk to you a bit about what it means to work for love. Oh yeah, y'all hype now. Y'all ready to rock, right? Love. Can you say love with me one time? Love. 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 Today we're talking good. I appreciate it. Working for love, that is a labor of virtuous effects. And this is grounded in the work of Queen Mother, the ancestor, Bell Hooks, who writes, when we work with love, we renew the spirit. That renewal is an act of self-love. It nurtures our growth. It's not what you do, but how you do it. It's not what you do, but how you do it. All right? How many of us go to work and feel this way? How many of us enter our office, our job, sit across from a student and feel this sort of spiritual renewal? How many of us feel affirmed, right, in our work, or reminded through our work that we matter, right? How does that love that we feel for ourselves be projected upon our students and communities and the families we serve? I want to lean on this quote by Bell Hooks throughout today's remarks because it's not what you do, it's how you do it. So look, when I say you are not what you do, you are not what you do, what you are is how you do it. I'm going to say you are not what you do, and you say, what you are is how you do it. You are not what you do. What you are is how you do it. You are not what you do. What you are is how you do it. Yes, yes, awesome. So, my big question for this afternoon is as follows. How does love, that is a labor of virtuous effects, inform your vocation and the impact that work as on others, right? We don't go to work and what we do, we don't have the privilege of sitting in a vacuum and pretending like our work doesn't have consequences, right? We're working with real people, in real time, in real context that are deleterious to their existence and well-being every single day. So we don't have the privilege of going to work for ourselves. We are always working on behalf of someone else and someone else's well-being. And with that in mind, I want you to think about this throughout the afternoon. You are not what you do. Y'all slipping, man. Y'all got the itis of lunch there. We're going to try it one more time. You are not what you do. Facts, big facts. So we're going to do a couple things today, right? So we're going to talk about, I want to just have a little structure to my remarks, otherwise I'd be all over the place. But I want to talk about what this philosophy looks like through the prism of hip-hop culture. Because hip-hop celebrated a birthday. Quick, anybody know how old it is? Yeah, that's what it is. So we're going to talk a little bit about hip-hop and its core principles and why it's essential to the work of lifelong learning. We're going to talk about the intersections of cultural wealth and exploring our purpose, or allowing students to explore their purpose. And we're also going to discuss some culturally informed approaches to occupational wellness. You are not what you do. Beautiful, man. Like I said, we countries out here, y'all, we family now. So, I don't know if y'all know what this is. Obviously, it's an index card. But this is from August 11th, 1973. This was an invitation to what is believed to be the first hip-hop party that was thrown at 1520 Sedgwick Avenue in the South Bronx. Any Bronx folks in the room? New York, BX, stand up. No? Yeah, no, they're not here. I never met anybody shy from the Bronx. So, you must not be having no representation there. But sorry, I got you. So, think about what was happening in 1973, right? You had the death of the civil rights movement, right? New emerging black leadership was being highly surveilled by the FBI, law enforcement, right? You had rampant divestment from urban communities, especially in places like the Bronx. You see the infiltration of guns, drugs, rampant unemployment, homelessness is on the rise, and amid all of these things, right, the most radical thing someone who's oppressed can do is express joy. Now this bill, this index card, this invitation to the first hip-hop party was drawn up by DJ Kool Herc and his sister Cynthia. They wanted to throw this back to school jams to, like, you know, show some love to the neighborhood and just like have a good time while all these other contextual factors were swirling around. And what Herc did, or what was unique about his style as a DJ, was Herc had 2 turntables. And he found a way to extend the breakbeats on disco records to keep people on the dance floor for a really, really long time. So you know that drum loop that kind of happens after the verses or after the hook? Herc put the same record on 2 turntables and queued them up so the break never stopped. And so what's beautiful about that is, again, partygoers can spend more time on the dance floor, but also the beautiful thing is, within this extended breaking, we as an oppressed people never felt broke. And we leaned on this for generations, right? And the founders came together, some of the forefathers and the folks who really poured into the early days of hip-hop culture, talk about peace, love, unity, and fun as being core to the work of what it means to not just create hip-hop culture, but to embody it. So can I get this side of the room to say peace? Peace. Can y'all say love? Love. Can y'all say unity? Unity. And fun? Fun. Peace. Love, unity, fun. Peace, love, unity, fun. Hey, y'all got it, man. It's a rhythm. And that rhythm should permeate all that we do. But because I'm a poet, because words matter, and we don't just hurl language into the universe, I want to name what we're saying. And so when we talk about peace, we're coming at it from the perspective of Dr. Martin Luther King, who says, peace is not merely the absence of tension, but the presence of justice. It's an unwillingness to let justice happen without us speaking back to it, without us speaking truth to power. It's leading into an uncomfortable conversation. It's an understanding that avoidance is not a pathway to healing, right? And so when we talk about peace, we want to wrangle peace out of any tension that we can find, right? So what's this side represent? Peace. That's what it is. That's what it is. Let's talk about love one second. Can y'all say love? Love. Yes, yes, yes. We're approaching love from the perspective of the great writer and ancestor Audre Lorde, who writes, once we recognize what it is we are feeling, once we recognize we can feel deeply, love deeply, can feel joy, we will demand that all parts of our lives produce that kind of joy. If you've ever felt love in any of its many forms, right, you won't settle for anything less in any of your relationships, right? Why should that be the same when we think about our work and our vocation? In our calling, right? We need to find ways to embody this perspective, this radical perspective of love in all that we do. And I think Audre Lorde knocks it out of the park here. So what's this side represent? Word. What we got? Peace. That's what it is. Let's talk about unity in 1 second. And I want to, I think it's important to name, to never erase Malcolm X from the narratives of American history. Not just Black history, but American history, right? And when we think about Malcolm, I don't think a lot of us think about unity. That might not be the first thing that always comes to mind when we hear us talk about Brother X. And so Malcolm X said quite beautifully that we need more light about each other. Light creates understanding, understanding creates love, love creates patience, and patience creates what? Unity. Yes, patience creates unity. You've ever been a teacher, or college advisor, or counselor, ever worked with a young person? What do you need to feel a sense of like you're actually getting rooted in? What do you need? You need patience, right? So I think this idea that patience being an antecedent to unity is something that can guide us, right, as a community of scholars and educators and researchers and great thinkers in our work for years to come. And so fun is pretty self-explanatory, fun, but I see y'all. Can y'all shout me out one time? And there it is, man. So peace, love, unity, and fun, it all comes together to create a beautiful tapestry we know as hip-hop culture. And so if you don't mind, I'm going to go into another piece entitled B-Side, and it goes like this. Mic check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Hey, I got some homies over here. Yes. Mic check. I hover precarious over my stereo cassette deck, too vexed to press record, too absorbed to turn back. I had an obsession, a progressive infatuation that quickly consumed my heart. It started as a cover, all rhyme and no reason, but there was freedom in those bars, the instrument of my escape. A liberation of sorts as Nas words paraded from the speakers in grand procession, a cavalcade of parables that invaded my senses, reminding me of my existence, with each sentence depicting what would happen if I rule the world. I free all my sons. I love them, baby. Black diamonds and pearls. Could it be? If you could be mine, we both shine. If I rule the world, still living for today, in these last days and time. I'm not going to forgive y'all for making me sing. But imagine that. So I graffiti tagged it on my memories wall, so when they call it vandalism, I say it's art. I call it poetry, an opus for the beleaguered yet unbroken, who still measure time and notes with no half-stepping. Only giant steps like Coltrane, like Big Daddy Kane, composed as William Grant Still, steady unmoved by Rashida with hate speech. We made time machines from break beats, see hip-hop be the soundtrack of our history. She waded in the water, followed the drinking gourd, the original remix that made soul food from master scraps that came back to own a master's, y'all. She sounds like irony. She sounds like a higher being. To me, every microphone is God's ear pressed against my plight, and he listens, she listens. Sometimes God tells me to pump up the volumes as my salvation's been paid in full, and that's word to rock him. So I rock this mic like I say my prayers, like there's an intimate direct line to the infinite with instrumental sampling every sentiment, our pain, our diligence, our resilience in the face of adversity, our mercy, grace, frustration, and impatience for justice that's long overdue. As DJ Kool Herc cue the vibe, it was never made from scratch. Yo, this wasn't counterculture, this is our culture, over a dope beat, and I can't stop, won't stop. When I say hip, y'all say hop, hip, hop, hip, hop. Rush, call and response from beyond the bounds of time and space, from beyond the grave. After all, I still hear our chains and tambourines, these ghetto gospels jingle like the keys of DJ Khaled. In fact, I see the noose body in your Harlem shake, desperately gasping for air. I hear the snare drum of Questlove and every crack of a whip and kickback from Darren Wilson's standing issue pistol. Can I live? Can I live? But in this battle, it seems I found immortality. And despite their best efforts, I am C. Y'all don't hear me though. I said I am C. I can be metaphorically cunning, mad creative, a storyteller, the middle class, mainstream castigated, made and and castrated, yet in these cages we emerge in mid-condition, masterful communicators long before we were mere chattel, making connections metacognitive between the past and future, producing more critical, often mistaken criminals who manifest clarity in every lyric we write. As we do your mass confusion, we more closely resemble model citizens, speaking our minds consistently, engaging you in meaningful conversation. As far as music's concerned, IMC. Hip-hop is a movement. Some days it's the truest thing I've ever known. When I hear a dope verse, I still furrow my brow, and somehow those words, those wrinkles in my forehead form a pathway to my inner peace. So you could always find me somewhere lost between side A and side B. Hip hop, hip hop. Yes, y'all. That's what's up. Appreciate y'all, man. All right, so. My man, thank you. The real hero of the afternoon, y'all. Make some noise. He heard me sing. He was like, right, this is more. So what we want to explore in further detail and sort of this nexus between all of these sort of factors, right, that get at what a person's purpose is, the pursuit of that purpose, right? And what we do as educators, as industry leaders, K-12, higher ed, you name it, we sort of are trying to unearth all of these things within our students we serve. Maybe we're trying to unearth these things for ourselves too, right? But we all want to get paid for something we enjoy doing, something we're good at. Maybe, just maybe, it's a thing that is mission-driven, right? That's connected to a community need or a global need, serving some social good, or serving at least maybe your individual needs as well as the well-being of the collective. I think this model is important because at no point do we exist solely in one section or one corner of this Venn diagram, right? And getting that purpose takes a lot of work, effort, patience. You are not what you do, what you are. That was a quiz. We're going to do that again later. But I want to also foreground the scholarship of Tara Yosef, who in 2005 explored this new model, or this model of, it's called community and cultural wealth, right? You think about forms of capital. A lot of times, students of marginalized identities, students who are immigrants, students who are identify as persons of color, or may identify as LGBTQIA, right? Like students who have these marginalized identities while navigating an environment that wasn't designed with them in mind, right? These forms of capital, these 6 forms, aspirational, familial, linguistic, navigational, resistant, social, all of those things are incumbent upon teachers, culturally mindful teachers, to impress upon their students, to not just ensure their success, but their survival in an educational context that weren't designed with them in mind. And so I elevate this because I want to ask, are we asking students to relinquish parts of themselves to fit into our programs, our dual enrollment opportunities, or the industries that they aspire for? Too often, students of color, students of marginalized identities are asked to adapt to an environment that's unprepared to support their full personhood. And so our cultural identities are assets, not liabilities. Love, right, that labor of virtuous effects, compels us to look at systems as systems rather than individuals. What needs to change? If we continue to foreground our students' perceived deficiencies, their skill gaps, their marketability, their relevance, then we undermine the fullness of their humanity, and we deny them access to the talent that already exists within them, right? I think all of us can definitively say our students come with us as fully formed human beings, right? Who just need some navigation along the way. And I think this model reminds us of just how important that work is, and how we are not innocent bystanders in this process of helping students find their pathway to their purpose, right? We have to be active in naming the ways in which their language, their ability to resist oppression, the status quo, their ability to name really lofty goals for themselves are all reflective of how ingenious they truly are. So dual enrollment programs, internships, apprenticeships, cooperative learning experiences are game changers. But Audre Lorde reminds us that the master's tools will not dismantle the master's house. So on the one hand, eliminating barriers to access is paramount to student success. We must also regard our students as being culturally wealthy already, Can we name that? Can we hold that truth together? That they're already culturally wealthy? That they already have the things needed to be successful in these academic contexts? Blue Wheels, our knowledge of these systems to find ways to uplift marginalized students' voices in our schools and within the workforce, I think everybody wins in that process. Again, you are not what you do, what you are. That's it. So, let's talk quickly about these dimensions of well-being, right? So, we're focused squarely on, maybe not squarely, but our work can potentially intersect with all these other forms of well-being, but for the purposes of this conversation, occupational well-being goes a long way in furthering the conversations we've had throughout our time together this week. And so, again, I'm curious to know the ways in which you have seen these other forms of wellness as mattering in your work. Perhaps there are other intersections, but again, we'll focus primarily on occupational well-being. So dual enrollment programs can accelerate students' pathway to degree attainment, participation in the workforce, and of course financial security. But as we all know, those pathways are not necessarily linear. Am I right? Even along the pathway, there are forces internal and external that threaten our ability to stay on that path. So I'm going to take y'all on a path of my own. I'm going to play a quick game called Guess My GPA. Are you ready? Are you ready? So, if you think I had a 4.0 my first semester freshman year, make some noise. He ain't got to be cool now. It was crickets at first. It was crickets at first. That reluctant, woo! I appreciate it, but you're incorrect. Alright? So let's try that again. If you think I had a 3.0 my first semester freshman year, make some noise. I see you, man. That's what's up, man. Y'all were wrong too. Let's try this one more time. You think I had a 2.0 my first semester freshman year? Oh man, thank you, bro. Thank you. And in the back too. Both y'all wrong. I had a 1.6 my first semester freshman year. 1.6. Ooh, that's right. Ooh, not good. The cutoff for academic probation was 1.5. The true irony of all of that, had I been on academic probation, I would have gotten access to all these other support mechanisms, tutoring, advising, it would have triggered all these other support mechanisms. But because I had a 1.6, I was on my own. I wasn't on my own, there was other people there with 1.6s and whatnot. But I had a choice to make, right? So my stumbling out of the gate was not like an accident of my own design. It wasn't something I wasn't prepared for. I know I was no stranger to a Thursday night, bar crawl of some sort. I know that I participated in my own demise when I chose not to go to class, right? But what I also wasn't ready for were the reminders, both verbal and nonverbal, that my presence at the university was not appreciated. That the history of this place was not designed with me in mind. I went to school, I went to class in buildings that were named after members of the Confederacy and Klansmen, right? There were all these honorifics of, Confederate statues and soldiers who did not reflect or would not have wanted me to be in that space hundreds of years later. And people don't think these have a psychological impact, but they do. And all those things came to a head when I went to office hours and a professor told me that I did not belong at that school.
Did you go to Ole Miss?
I did not, but it's eerily familiar, right? And the fact that somebody can have the same experience at an institution across the country, I feel you, man. Right? Far too often, students like us experience that, whether it's said or unsaid. And so this next piece reflects on just how I wasn't thinking about what kind of job I wanted or what I wanted to do after graduation. I was just trying to stay together as best I could because I felt like I was on an island, right? And so when you think about the work you do, what will you do to not rescue a student, right? I already have what it took to survive, to thrive in that space. I just needed help uncovering what that was. And so I doubled down on my performing on campus. I doubled down on my work in my spoken word poetry and theater troupe. I doubled down on my willingness to record music and be vocal about my artistic self that was emerging in this community that I wasn't thriving in academically, but saw the fruits of my labor in another space, right? And so what are you doing to bring students' fruits to the table fully forged? And so what happened was, I wrote a letter to myself during my freshman year of college. It was a letter to me in the future. I wrote about how, bruh, you should be a doctor by now. Someone's boss, CEO bound, a profound leader in your field, dog. The first black something that Obama had. And I had to go back to the drawing board. Now, you haven't lived until you walk in someone else's dream. Wipe the crust from your own eyes and realize your first rude awakening. In college, your boy slept in one too many mornings. I hit the snooze button so nothing was left but a bunch of failed tests and excuses that were useless when I looked at my professor and he told me, you don't belong at this institution. Reconsider, young man. I was 19 the first time I wanted to drop out. I had my home number dialed in my phone, but something told me not to press send. If I could have written a letter to me now back then, I would have told myself that every morning you rise, you've already defied an odd. Even if the best you can do is finish. They've been given an opportunity, you've been given an opportunity to skew their data, tell them they were wrong about you. Every morning you rise, you'll wake up with a renewed mind. Yes, some days will be harder than others. There'll be nights you won't forget, and nights you'll lament. You'll break a heart or two until the part of you feels lost. Like you're drifting so far from shore, you'll capsize in an ocean of your own tears. You try to drown your sorrows, bottle your lungs for gills, because you feel like being submerged in temptation makes the most sense, but let it go. Because you were born to succeed swimmingly. Today, you do more than stay afloat. Instead of just keeping your head above water, you learn to harbor the dreams of your ancestors, back bench, picking cotton that pain, and shot you below a lumbar was them knocking, reminding you that you have the right to bend over and leave no stone unturned too many times. You'll question your integrity, your intelligence, even your very presence at the school, but don't let it get to you. Selective hearing will be the most effective tool. Sure, they'll assume you're here to fill the quota. Yeah, they know what standards just for you. They'll assume your position, point guard, shooting guard. You must play ball. But all that ever mattered in life is how you power forward. Don't look back. Sure, there'll be days you feel like strange fruits hanging from the rim, a waste of height, but make no mistake, your goals were more than 10 feet high. Sometimes you have to remind yourself to shoot for the stars because your problems are merely constellations, shimmering images of what makes you beautiful, brilliant, a resilient representation of your mother, father, sister, brother, uncle, cousin, whatever village that raised you and gave you life. So turn your tassel without turning your back on the place that made you. Your name is not the only one on that diploma. So go forth and prosper, but work. You work until your GPA sounds less like a grade point average and more like God's purpose in action. All we have is faith, and I pray you step out daily, unafraid of becoming you. Because life's a university, but the intuition is free. So spend your time like money and use it wisely, finding your voice. Sincerely, Dr. Livingston. Yes, y'all. So you and now what you do? Yeah, don't lie. You got it. Y'all little popcorn back here, but I appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't a 1.6 GPA. Nobody's their GPA. Nobody's their job, right? Nobody is their salary. Nobody is the thing that we attach some value to, right? And because we are in the roles and we have the privilege of helping students reimagine what it means to fully participate in the workforce and society in ways that feel affirming and life-giving, and especially I want to keep things moving, so I want to respect my time. Now, my dad is a pastor, and he'd be up here until King Council. I want to honor y'all's time, man. So, I'm not going to read all these bullet points, but these are signs of occupational wellness, right? And for me, I wanted to name this, that since becoming a husband and a father, like my virtues and values have shifted dramatically, but my commitment to the vocation remains unwavering. At the end of the workday, if there's not enough of me left to give my family, my kids, my partner, I have to reconsider my practice, right? But I'm also wondering, is this conversation around setting boundaries and holding yourself accountable to your priorities, right? How are we foregrounding conversations like that with our students? Everything is the job. Everything is the degree you need to get the job. Everything is how much this job makes over the lifespan. But if we're not talking about how to set boundaries, like what you're willing and unwilling to put up with in the workplace, right? What places have toxic workplace culture, right? All of these things matter when you are in front of your students trying to help them make a decision that's going to impact the rest of their life. And so that's where the love comes in, right? If we're not having these conversations, then these culturally informed practices of occupational wellness can never be. So just as we continue to cultivate collaborations and partnerships with corporations and nonprofit entities and negotiate articulation agreements with universities and curate all these high impact learning experiences, how are we centering love? Again, it's a labor of virtuous effects. A love that allows for the exploration of boundaries and balance, of fluidity between all the dimensions of our well-being. So much of who we are as individuals in a capitalist society boils down to the job we have, how much money we make. And for me, that will always be insufficient, incongruent with what I believe to be the hallmark of really, really good pedagogy, really strong teaching and learning. I've said a lot today, but the most important question again I'll ask is, can you commit to the radical work of love, a labor of virtuous effects? Can you commit to doing that in your practice? A love that values people over profits, a love that centers culture over hierarchy, a love that prioritizes personhood over power, a love that normalizes wellness over production and productivity. I'd rather inspire a generation that's creative enough to imagine alternate futures than a generation that continues us along the path we are on. Once again, I'd rather inspire a generation that's creative enough to imagine alternate futures than a generation that continues us along the path we're on. You are not what you do. Right. Love doesn't rest because we perceive the work to be done. The mission is not complete because a student earns a college credit in high school or lands that internship. A labor of virtuous effects insists that we continue to ask the question of why such barriers exist in the first place. Love is a questioning. Love is critical thought. Love is a constant renegotiation and reconsideration. Love doesn't rest on its laurels. Love compels us to take risks, to care for one another. Love challenges us to see the humanity in places we've seldom looked. Love floods the streets. Love is protest. Love is advocacy and allyship. Love is disruptive because we've been conditioned to remove all emotion from our work. And I'd like to argue that emotion, those feelings that peace, love, unity, and fun are available to us because we are alive. Because we share this moment in history, and love, a labor of virtuous effects, is all we have when there's nothing left to give. You are not what you do. Peace and love, y'all. Thank you.